Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus said, "You are the salt of the earth. But if salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It's no longer good for anything but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under a bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Do not think that I've come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth pass away, not one letter, not one stroke of a letter will pass from the law until it is accomplished. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." The gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
It was 1976. I began my internship at Nativity Lutheran Church at 17th and Tioga Streets in Philadelphia, 3 blocks away from Temple Hospital. It was the first day of my new role and responsibilities, and my supervising pastor, Pastor Ed Sailing, sent me outside to change the sign out on the corner of the sidewalk. He sent me out to change the name of the vicar on the sign, the title that I would bear as an intern that year. There it was for all to see. Vicar Schanzenbach. I couldn't put Scott on there because he didn't have enough left. When I returned to the office, I found that first box of business cards that the pastor had made up for me. Business cards with my name, my title, and my contact information. Words fail me when it comes to capturing what that morning felt like. But there was something significant, something profound at play there. I already knew that that was who I am, but now, this is what I would be called. Vicar Scott Schanzenbach. I suspect most of us here in this room know something about the power of naming, how we have this way of becoming what we are named. We might be the assistant minister, or the musician, or all sorts of titles that we bear within our family or within our workplace. We know that if we call someone worthless, if we call someone unlovable, if we call someone not good enough, or embarrassing, or shameful, if we call that person that title long enough, often enough, the odds are eventually that person will begin to live into that name. Of course, the same holds true for positive things. If you call someone valuable, effective, worthwhile, notable, important, significant, eventually that person just might live into that name. So remember where Jesus was in this story that I read to you this morning. Jesus gathers his folks and he says, "You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world." Jesus is on a mountainside where his newly called disciples and a whole crowd of other folks have followed him to this place where he's calling them names, calling them blessed. That was last week's lesson. Calling out to the people who were poor in spirit, to the meek and beaten up and beaten down. He's calling them something that no one has ever called them before. He says to those people, you are salt, you are light. And Jesus speaks these words in the present tense. He doesn't say, you know, you used to be salt. Once upon a time, you used to be something important that added flavor to the world and to this community, but not so much anymore. That's not what he said. He's also not saying, if you try hard enough, someday you're going to be the light of the world. Not now, of course. You're still too young, too unknown, too whatever. No, Jesus says boldly in the present tense, you are salt. You are light. He says, this is what you are. Know this. Own this. Be this. I suspect you're experiencing the common trend among congregations, recognizing that your average age in the congregation is rising. Your average attendance is declining, and fewer people are taking part in the regular rhythms of worship, and Bible study, and service. Many years ago, when I was working on the Synod staff, then Bishop Riley took a sabbatical to revive and refresh his skills for leadership and innovation and caring for other people. What I was intrigued by was that part of the time of study that he was going to engage in took place at Disney World. He was enrolled in a really bona fide, legit program there that was designed primarily for corporate leaders and executives. He went to learn at the Magic Kingdom from the Disney people, because Disney people know a thing or two about imagination and about taking care of others. One of the hallmarks of the Disney culture, as I learned, is that there aren't any employees. Everyone has been named a cast member. And everyone on the cast knows that he or she is part of a much bigger story. A story so much bigger than any one individual. Everyone is in the show. Not just Mickey Mouse and Snow White. Everyone is playing a part to help put on the production. Whether you're the guy gathering the garbage bins, or the woman working on a set design for a movie. Everyone on the Disney payroll is a cast member. When the bishop returned, our staff spent some time talking about what he had learned and how those insights might translate into the life of the church. We talked about the members of congregations. Are the people who populate the roles of the church guests coming to be entertained? Or are the church members part of the cast? The ones who have bigger parts to play in telling a story that's so much bigger than anything that even Disney might engineer. course, all of us have been cast to play parts, to add our gifts, to be part of this great, big, beloved community that Jesus calls together to say, you are the blessed ones. You are blessed. And you are included. You are the salt. You are the light. I think it matters that Jesus says what he says and the way he says it to the ones he says it to. You are salt. You are light. He says it here and now, this day, this time, this place. And he says it to everyone going into the way of the kingdom. You are the salt, you are the light. And that's a good word to hear right about now. When we have such a collective sense of unease, so many feelings of uncertainty about who we are as a nation, as a church, who we are and how we fit in the messiness of this all. You are salt. You are light. I've been to Disney World. Not taking the class that the bishop did. I just went to be entertained. I've been to the fireworks show in Epcot that closes out every evening. When the fireworks are over, the day is done. It's time for everyone to go home. For the Disney cast members, their job at the end of the fireworks is to get everyone out in a safe and courteous and hasty fashion. So they have people stationed all around the park with these big yellow and red flashlights to guard you out, to guide you out. Now the guy with the flashlight could have been told, look kid, you're a second shift hourly worker. Your job is to wave the flashlight and help people get out of the park. And he could have become precisely that. But there was one kid who stuck out in my mind. One young man who didn't assume he had a job, but assumed he was part of the cast. For him, his yellow and red flashlight wasn't just a light, it was a microphone. Not a real one, but that didn't matter. This young man was singing a karaoke medley of Disney songs that we've all heard 1,000 times. Now I imagine someone somewhere told him and keeps telling him, you are part of the cast of the most magical place on earth. Our mission is to create happiness. And you need to help us to do that. Right here, right now. And so he sings to guests. He adds flavor to the great Exodus. He literally shines his light. You might say it's sort of like a man on the mountainside, talking to ordinary people, spending a good many of their days feeling pretty small, giving up. He sits down, he says a blessing, telling them, you are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Not you were, not you will be, you are. Do you hear those words? Do you believe those words? Do you know those words? It's with boldness that we embrace our true identity. name and the role that we've been given by Jesus. We need not pretend to be something we're not. We need not hide in fear or insecurity. We are people of the light. We are the people chosen by God to flavor the earth and to light